In this video, I'm going to be showing you some strategies that you can use when you're estimating the size of angles. Okay. Now, this skill is probably more important actually than being able to use a protractor accurately, because if you think about it, when you're going to try, if you're going to try and calculate angles in real life, you're probably not going to have a protractor with you unless you are planning to actually go and measure angles. Okay. So this skill is actually really useful if you saw something and you were trying to think to yourself, well, how many degrees would that be? The strategy we're going to use, we're going to compare to known angles. Okay. Now we've already discussed comparing to 90 degrees. So for this angle here, I could actually compare to 90 degrees, because if this is my angle and here we're measuring the amount of turn between this line and this line in those two arms. So I could say that 90 degrees would be up this way for a right angle. It's not exact, but it's close. And I also know that half of this, so sort of out this way is pretty close, would be 45 degrees. So that would be half of the distance. So now I could estimate, and I could say that this angle is almost halfway between 45 and 90. So half of, and that would be 45 degrees between those. So maybe I'd add on about 20 degrees from here. So I might say that my estimate for E, to use that estimate, would be 65 degrees. And then you could use a protractor to actually check that. Okay, so to recap, to estimate the size of this angle, I thought about where 90 degrees would be, and then where 45 degrees would be, and then how far in between that arm is. For this angle over here, which is a reflex angle, we're going to use what we already know as well. Okay, we could mark 90 degrees, but it's probably not really going to help us, because we know that a right angle is between, a reflex angle is between 180 degrees and the next 90 degrees down this way is 270 degrees. Okay. What you could also do, same as I did here, is mark halfway. Okay. So I know it's somewhere between 270 and 180. If you didn't feel like you were ready to make an estimate yet, if you marked halfway between those, that would be 45 degrees more than 180, which would be 225 degrees. So now I've narrowed it down even more, and I know that this angle is somewhere between 225 and 270 degrees. Okay, so you can make an estimate from there. And I might say, well, it looks like it's a little bit more than halfway, so a little bit more than 245. I might say that I think this degree here, this estimate is 250 degrees. And again, I can get my protractor and measure that angle. So to recap, what you want to do is compare to the angles you know. If you have a right angle, you might want to compare to 90 and 45. If you had something like a straight angle, a obtuse angle, something that looked like that, you could compare out this way to 180 and that way to 90. Whatever works for you, but you need to actually have a think about where it would lie between those two angles you're comparing to. Give it a try.